Welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the IPO, the initial public offering. This is the third source of equity funding. So an IPO basically means that you take your company public. Now what does it mean to take a company public? It means that now your company is traded on a major stock exchange or a stock index. So that means that investors who you may not even know are in the position to buy shares of your company and therefore get partial ownership. That's what we mean by the IPO. Now, it's a huge deal to actually make that IPO milestone. However, most companies cannot be listed on a stock exchange unless it's shown to be financially sound and is to have, a positive future ahead of itself. And so there's some different reasons that a company would even want to do an IPO, right? Because you think about it, it's creepy, right? Anonymous investors buying portions of your company, and then they can dictate things to you, right? I recall when Facebook did its IPO, guess who bought up a bunch of its shares? CalPERS, the California Pension Fund, and they immediately started telling Mark Zuckerberg what they wanted done, and they had the right to do that because they had bought shares. This can be very unnerving. Nonetheless, here's some reasons that you do an IPO. The first is to raise money. Raise money to pay expenses, raise money for growth, okay? Just like any other form of equity financing. Whenever you launch an IPO, it really raises the profile of the company. Maybe it's a company that's big enough and you get to open the bell of the New York Stock Exchange. That's a huge publicity event, right? Also, investors might be looking for companies to buy, and then they can see that your company is traded, they look into what you're doing. I mean, that's great publicity right there. Another reason is a lot of venture capitalists and angel investors as well, they need to recoup that money at some point, recoup the equity that they've bought. So when you do, and a lot of them like to do it within about 7 years. That's kind of the magic time frame. So this is the point where when you go on the stock exchange, that venture capital group gets the opportunity to sell the shares in the company that they own and therefore recoup their investment. And of course, it also creates money that can be used to then buy another rival that's also being publicly traded, right? So maybe your company A, company B is your rival, but it's a smaller rival. This is an opportunity for you to purchase that smaller rival because you've raised money from a stock exchange. Also, a reason an individual entrepreneur may wish to do an IPO is what they call the exit strategy. This is the point where they have worked themselves almost to death for 7 years. They want to sell their company and they want to do something else. Okay? And that makes that possible. So they can recoup and make a lot of money. Now remember, IPOs are not appropriate for every kind of firm. I did this women's entrepreneurship thing, and you can look on my YouTube channel if you'd like to see some of the interviews. But when I did my first women's entrepreneurship event, we did it in person. It was a luncheon, and one of my colleagues, he read just enough to know something, but he didn't read enough to actually say something intelligent. Let me put it that way. And so a lot of the guests were restaurateurs and stuff like that, and they were talking about how much they loved their business and all this other kind of stuff. And he asked him, he said, "What is your exit strategy?" And I remember all three of the women looked at each other like, "We don't have an exit strategy. We love what we're doing. We're going to continue to do this." These were not publicly traded firms. They're not the kind of businesses that are going to have an IPO. A restaurant, a church. I mean, this is crazy, right? But he needed to ask that so he could feel big. And I guess he felt big, but everybody else in the room was laughing at him, so who knows. But this is all about IPOs. Now, if you'd like to know more, I've just given a superficial overview because this is the introductory video. I've got another playlist. In fact, I've got a couple playlists all about IPOs, and you can learn more about those there. As always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and comment down below. I'll see you next time.